Hello ladies and gentlemen and welcome back to Fallen London. Today we are going to be carrying on with the Fair Unknown exceptional story, and I have been informed that I've been missing a little bit of exploration with the not mingling with the crowds. Let's have a look at this. The guests are drawn from far and wide: London and Arbor, the smoking shore and the Waswood, the dome of scales and the harrying of beasts. The crowds gossip as the number of knights still in play diminishes. Black has been annihilated, and there is still no sign of white. The number of mystery knights still in play, however, fuels fevered speculation. Has the King of Cats entered the field at last? Or perhaps the Aurate? Others suggest the Cosmogon emissary, though these are mostly laughed away. After all, everyone knows there's nothing in the sun in the sky but the hollow skins of old snakes. Above, the clear amber sky groans with thunder. And I believe we need to continue with entering the lists. The lists are held in the great stadium which sits at the centre of the grounds like a scarlet egg in a nest. The carmine condottière's reflection faces you from the other side of the ground. A deviless, attired as a scarlet lanchneck, she rides a silver steed and has eyes of ruby glass. She rides for red and bears a smoking blunderbuss in place of a lance. As she trots onto the field, she fires the antique firearm with a colossal bang. The crowd goes wild before choking on the smell of saltpeter and smoke. The red-gloved queen watches from a grand dais above the stands. She serves as court of honour, sole judge of your performance today. Your stag lowers its tinned head as the herald sounds her trumpet. Your opponent lowers their weapon and canters towards you. The joust is underway. Well, we're going to joust vigorously. Smiling smug as only a devil can, carmine condottière's reflection thunders down the lists towards you. She levels her smouldering blunderbuss at you. Your gorge rises at the sulphurous smell emanating from within. Just as she fires, you squeeze your thighs and your stag increases its pace. The shot goes wide, careening towards the stands. From her dais, the queen stands. You do not see what happens next, but you smell the sulphur and feel the blood patter down from the sky like rain. Shocked, the reflection struggles to maintain her pace, and she is now missing both blunderbuss and firing hand. She counters your first thrust, but your lance strikes true. Victory is yours. The crowd screams your name. You are their new champion. I guess the blunderbuss backfired. Isn't that lucky? Okay, so now we have to choose to speak with Reynard or Thomas. Let's speak with Reynard. And he's feeding his stag? Do things eat in dreams? I think I kind of want Reynard to win, to be honest, so I think I'm going to share Thomas's strategy. You have already sparred with Thomas. Perhaps it will avail Reynard should they meet in the lists. You demonstrate what you've learned from Thomas, drilling Reynard in the necessary steps and counterfeints. Reynard is a swift learner. One does not last long as a Menace Eradicator otherwise. Still, when you finish and sit down again, sweating and flushed, Reynard looks morse. He'll come in handy if I should face him, if I have to. Put a stop to his plan, still. He shakes his head. I might have preferred to let the fate decide the outcome. Has he forgotten his impossibly fast stag? Well, let's encourage him, I suppose. And we've already read that in the last episode, I believe. And we can leave, I think. And let's ask him his intentions. I'm pretty sure we read this before as well. Yeah, the Queen will grant a boon. Well, let's leave. As the lists clear for the day, the competitors are encouraged to retire to their own pavilions, erected while they jousted. Feasts are served in the larger tents, roses and wine, ambrosia and succulent sugared amethysts. Yes, and we have a meagre tent, of course we do. You have jousted all day, you should recuperate before the next bout. Ooh, a dream of a pale knight. The Mystery Knight watches you. Only his winter blue eyes are visible beneath the visor of his dented helmet. He is mantled in a robe of lucent silver and leans upon a pale staff. Looking closer, you spy a diamond gleaming at its top. With one long hand, the man beckons you to follow him. Let's follow the Mystery Knight. What does he want with you? He leads you to the edge of the tourney grounds, to a fountain that flows with white, foamy water. You can't find us here, he says. An allowance I won from her long ago. What does he want? Only to advise you. Stay true to how you fought thus far, with honour. I would fain reward you. And if you should stray from this path, then she will have you, and likely her champion as well. Be it the physician boy or you, and all the knights in my service could not save you. She cherishes Londoners such as yourself. She would make all of your city red if she could. What of Thomas? The knight does not know him. You give a description. Oh, him. Better for him that he not win, but someone must. He claps you on the shoulder and disappears into the crowd. A servant arrives in your pavilion, bearing your arms and your lance. It is time for your next bout in the lists. Already you can hear the crowd calling your name from within the stadium. It seems that your next opponent is the Mystery Knight, who has thus far gone undefeated. As you leave the pavilion, you share with Reynard. You spot him near where your stags are stabled. He is engaged in a ferocious row with Thomas. Reynard is flushed. Thomas is livid with anger. Both voices are raised and neither has noticed your approach. Let's listen in. They duel in whispers. Reynard's frantic, Thomas's scornful. You will need to be close to overhear. I will not simply give up and return home, Reynard says, eyes bright with anger. If this is how you mean to repay my kindness, it is a poor offering. Thomas's green eyes widen. Kindness? By worrying me half to death? By going 1 foot in the grave for a paltry eradicator's wage? Forgive me if I felt compelled to support us both. Given how much your work seems to be done for free, Reynard winces, immediately regretting his words. He reaches out to Thomas. Come with me, Tom. I said I'd always look after you. Thomas pulls away. As did I, of you, and unlike you, I remain in a position to fulfill my promise. Thomas turns around and almost walks into you. Oh, I hadn't realised you were there. Reynard blushes as he sees you, realising he's been overheard. I'm sorry you heard that, he says before glancing at Thomas. But maybe you can talk some sense into him. I've made my peace with my condition. Why can't he? Thomas gives you an amused look. Go on then. Talk some sense into me. I'm all ears. Yeah, I'm gonna side with Reynard here. Thomas has not respected his partner's wishes. Any boon the red-handed queen grants is sure to have stipulations, likely awful ones. Reynard gives you a grateful smile as Thomas groans. See, Thomas, even my friend can see this is folly. But your friend doesn't know me. Thomas's voice softens as he looks at Reynard. Why do you doubt me, my love? I will win. And whatever the Queen offers, I can handle myself. You must know that I can. And then we can be together, for good. Reynard furrows his brow. I don't doubt that you can win. You've done better, far better than I would. Unaided. But think, Thomas. Look at this place. Nothing here is real. Just a fantasy, a dream. That's all she offers. Lies. Thomas shakes his head. That's very naive. And if she's just a liar, well, there's no harm in my asking her help. He gives you a curt bow and walks away. Reynard claps you on the shoulder. Thank you for the support. Again. Now, off with you. You've a joust to win. You arrive at the stadium to find your opponent already waiting at the other end of the lists. He wears silver chainmail and wields a great scepter in place of a lance. He also rides a great stag, but white in colour and with a thin silver tiara hooked on a tine of its antlers. His visor is down. You cannot see his face. Your stag tosses its head and paws the ground with its hoof. It is not pleased to be faced with another stag. From the stands, the herald's trumpet sounds. Well, we're going to joust with honour, but this time round, we only have a 60% chance to win. There is no guarantee of victory, all the more reason to give the joust your all. Let's cross our fingers. Twice around the pass, tilt and counter tilt. Lances hit male chest, but do not break, and both you and your opponent remain mounted. The Mystery Knight gives you a curdling nod as he thunders past. At the third pass, he shifts his scepter to his left and reveals an orb at his right. This he throws low, just past the eye line of your stag. It rears and pitches left, placing you right in the path of his swinging scepter. You grab your reins and desperately yank right. Your thighs squeeze into the stag's flanks. At last, just, it rights its course. The scepter swings wide. The knight overbalances and topples to the ground. Victory is yours. I'm surprised we won that. The Mystery Knight pulls off his helmet as he goes to shake your hand. A sweep of white hair cascades over his shoulders. A silver band rests on his brow. Looking closer, you see that it is a crown. You recognize his face. It is the winsome antiquarian's, the man Thomas consulted in London. The eyes, however, are not his. Where the antiquarian's eyes were emerald, these are cold sapphire. They belong to something much older. "Here I am," he says in a voice like the creaking of ice on a frozen lake. "The White King to the Red Queen. Is he too here for the Queen's boon? Does Thomas know he was consulting a competitor?" The beleaguered king smiles as you ask your question. "I'm not the antiquarian. I merely borrow him when I have need. She is not the only one who behaves so. As for his involvement, I oppose the Queen. She wants the doctor for her champion. Ambition, competence, and a surgeon's hands. He would do her work well. His expression is impassive. She won't get what she wants. The doctor is merely a lure for the champion. I want her to have the Red Fox. If he wins the tournament, she must accept him as her champion." His cold eyes gleam. "His nature is not hers. He will not be able to serve her as she'd wish. A pawn can change when it reaches the end of the board." The king frowns. But the fox has a weakness: love. There is no guarantee he will prevail. You, however, have no such attachments here. The beleaguered king gives you a long look that speaks of some submerged yearning. He needs something of you. "This kingdom must only ever be a reflection of your desires. I will not allow it to be otherwise. To do would be to behave like she does." His genitalia creak as he goes down to one knee. "To act within it, I must only do so at the behest of a dreamer. So I kneel here to ask a boon of you. Ask me a favour that I might grant it. Ask me to ensure Reynard wins his bout against Thomas." The king's eyes are fathomless and cold. I'm not really sure here, so we can request that Reynard wins, we can request that Thomas wins, or we could deny the request and make sure that they go against each other. Let's request that Reynard wins. I'm setting down this path, I may as well carry on. A smile briefly thaws the king's wintry face. A bargain well made. So be it. Parabola shifts. Its mirror stars shine their chilly light over a territory as known and charted as a campaign map. Pieces move in according to a design as meticulous as clockwork and as cool as winter's frost. The king has played his turn. The king replaces his helmet, lowers the visor. He turns to leave, heading into the crowd. And we are back in our meagre tent. Let's just rest here. Do I want to speak to Reynard again? Yeah, let's just encourage Reynard again. He'll be fine. We'll stick with an encouragement and then we'll leave. And then we'll rest. Reynard joins you, sitting beside you as he pulls on his spurs. Gives you a smile. Well, we've done what we can. You in the finals, and I have a chance to knock out Thomas now before he even reaches the Queen. He sighs. I feel terrible. He found this place, put in so much work, and I come crashing in with my infallible steed, my unearned victories. He rakes a hand through his hair. Life can be very cruel, don't you find? He says sadly. I'll see you in the lists. You take your seat in the stadium as the heralds announce the competitors. This close to the final, the crowd has already picked their favourites. There are wild cheers as Reynard trots into the stadium on his orate stag. He does not wear a helmet. His smile is bright as the Queen's gloves. His red gold hair falls freely across his face. Thomas enters on his midnight wolf. He has some supporters, but the cheering is much diminished. He offers a salute, but to Reynard, not the Queen. The trumpets sound. The joust begins. The two men thunder down the lists towards each other. Reynard's stag rears as Thomas's wolf buries its teeth into its flank. Hot droplets of blood sizzle on the tourney ground. The Queen raises a gloved hand. From where you're sitting, it is impossible to make out the gesture. A fist? A benediction? Thomas presses his advantage, bidding his wolf to run, tearing away from Reynard's stag. Thomas thunders around, ready for the next pass. Reynard's steed staggers. The bout is far from over, but the first blood is drawn. So Thomas's confidence in the surety of his victory is increasing. Reynard is less certain of the rightness of his course. The two men face each other from across the lists. Reynard's hair is slicked with sweat as he struggles to keep it out of his eyes. Thomas is breathing heavy. Suddenly, Thomas kicks his wolf forwards. There are cries from the stands, warnings called by the heralds. Thomas reaches Reynard in a dozen bounds. Reynard holds his ground. Thomas leans forward and passes something to Reynard before bounding back to his proper position. Reynard holds up a dark band of cloth to the crowd. A bandage, before using it to hold his hair from his face. Let's watch the second tilt. The trumpets sound once more. Reynard grins and stands in his stirrups as his orate stag races down the lists. He gives Thomas a glancing blow to the chest. Thomas recovers, crouching to grip his reins all the tighter. Thomas thrusts his lance, sinister, aiming away from Reynard's grievous wound. Reynard gives his lover a grim smile, seconds before the blow strikes home, twisting the reins. His stag veers right into the path of the incoming lance. Thomas hesitates, dropping his lance low. Reynard presses his advantage. His lance splinters against Thomas's chest, to a chorus of cheers. This exceeds the number of blows permitted in a normal bout, but so long as the Queen does not object, the rules are what one makes of them. Both men are breathing heavily. Blood trickles from under Thomas's gorget. Reynard handles his lance at an awkward angle. Is his shoulder dislocated? Red runs down the heaving flanks of both the Golden Stag and the Midnight Wolf. Thomas raises his visor and calls across the stadium to his lover. "Will you relent?" Reynard salutes his opponent. "Never, love. Will you?" His voice is hoarse. "Never!" comes the refrain. Reynard grins. Thomas smiles before he closes his visor. Trumpets sound. It is the last tilt of their bout. But watch it, everything hangs in the balance. Thomas stands high in his stirrups, and, lance held low, rides out. Reynard is faster, his stag a golden blur against the red banners of the stadium. He meets Thomas and sends his lance careening into Thomas's wolf. The wolf rears as Reynard guides his stag backwards, allowing him another thrust at Thomas. This time he takes Thomas under the neck just as his stag swings its head, antlers first, into the wolf. The wolf rears, and with the force of Reynard's blow, Thomas falls. The crowd erupts into a raucous applause. Reynard swings from his stag and races to reach Thomas. Thomas hesitates for just a moment before allowing his lover to help him. There are a few cheers as he staggers from the field. Reynard's eyes are still on him even as the heralds sound the trumpet for the last bout. The peal of golden trumpets, the expectant silence of the crowd, the scurry of servants to attend you, strapping on vambrace and gorget, gauntlets and spurs. Your stag shifts restlessly beneath you. The final bout of the tourney is upon you. Here we go, the hour has arrived. Either you or Reynard will become the Queen's champion and receive her boon. You mount your stag, the wind rising as you trot out onto the tourney ground. All eyes are on you, the hungry gazes of the serpents, the lofty judgment of the tigers. The white consider you coolly, the black with warm smiles, and always there is the yearning, wanting of the red, directed at you from the dais. Opposite, Reynard re-enters the lists, his stag gleaming gold, though its flanks are reddened with blood. Gives you an elaborate bow before looking past you to Thomas, watching intently from the stands. The red-gloved queen raises a hand, signalling her herald to speak. He explains to you the rules of the bout. 3 passes about the tilts, 3 chances to strike your opponent. Should you lose, your opponent will receive the red-handed queen's boon. Should you triumph, the boon shall be yours. The trumpets sound. For the victor, the spoils. The bout is underway. So we have 3 options here. We can joust with honour. Your stag has no advantage when faced with another. Honour is the only way forward. We can show off our skill. You have fought your way to the end of the tourney. You deserve to demonstrate the skill that brought you this far. Or we can attempt to lose. You have no desire to win this bout. Perhaps you wish to avoid the boon. Perhaps you would prefer your opponent to receive it. So the question is, if I accept the boon, can I help them? Or should I let Reynard win so he can do what he wants to do with the boon? Plus, the White King said that he wanted Reynard to be her champion. So I think, against all odds, I'm going to attempt to lose here. It doesn't really fit my character, but let's see what happens. Let's attempt to lose. Your opponent's stag is peerless. You need only to not try to be certain to lose. Your opponent thunders towards you, startling the beast you ride. You rise on your stirrups as the stag below you rears. Your opponent does not miss the opportunity. Wood splinters at the nape of your neck, nearly knocking you flying. Reynard grins and offers you an ironic flourish as he passes. "Better I receive the boon than you," he says. "Really, my friend, it's not like I'm doing this on purpose, is it?" crowd cheer you and your opponent's name in equal measure. You can hear 100 languages of the Parabola spoken. The few you recognize, elucidating your choices in lance position, dance and gait. Only the queen is silent, her gaze is fixed on you. The second bout is underway. Your opponent has won one bout of 3. Let's attempt to lose again. This is gonna start hurting soon. He offers better, I receive the boon than you. That is the same as last time. Crowd cheer you and your opponent's name in equal measure. Okay, we're here again. This attempt to lose is the final one. Hopefully, this works out for Reynard. The crowd still scream, but now they do so in one voice and call but one name. The victors. The bout and the tournament are at an end. Your opponent has won 3 bouts of 3. Accept defeat. You have been defeated, your opponent has won the day, and the Queen's boon. Reynard performs one last canter around the lists, exulting in the sound of his name being chanted in 100 languages of the Parabola. Flowers, roses of course, fall in showers from the stands, along with a scattering of rubies, which his golden stag dances through. Thomas is nowhere to be seen. At last, servants hurry to guide the champion from his mount and lead him up the velveted stairs to the dais where the queen awaits. From her pale throne, white contrasting with red, the queen stands to greet her champion. The sky above yellows as though from an oncoming storm. From the arms of her throne trickles blood. No, rubies, which fall at her feet as she steps from her throne. With one hand she reaches for her scepter, with the other she bids her champion kneel. We can watch Reynard claim his prize. He has achieved what he desired, Queen's boon. Reynard stands before his queen. While sitting in her throne, she had seemed small, slight. Standing, she towers over him. Slowly, he kneels on a small red cushion before her. What would you ask of me, your queen? What would you ask of your queen? She says. Her voice is soft and low, yet you feel it like a migraine. Reynard looks up into her bright eyes. You hear him say Thomas's name and then mutter something else. The last word is unmistakable, however. Time. And after a long pause, the queen nods her head. She lifts her scepter and touches it to his shoulders, right and left. When Reynard stands up, he is shaking and weeping uncontrollably. The queen watches him, impassive. He stumbles his way down the stairs. As he does, the heraldic fox on his surcoat stains with blood seeping through his skin into the cloth. In the aftermath of the tournament, the tawny ground transforms. The sky darkens. Only the lanterns that hang over the tents light the way now. Those in red, the queen's servants and courtiers, are ascendant. They circulate the grounds, dispensing goblets of wine and cuts of raw meat. White and black make themselves scarce, leaving only visitors and dreamers to imbibe from the queen's cups. This they do, deeply. A servant appears at your elbow. Your presence has been requested. The servant leads you to a great tent made of scarlet cloth. He gestures that you should go inside. The tent is empty. Its velvet walls roll away as you enter, revealing an expanse of red cloth, overlaying a field of snow. The snow does not glisten as it should. You touch it. It is chalk or ground bone. The sky above. There is sky. Once more. It is a roiling, sickly yellow. There is no need for lanterns here. Not too far off there is a pale throne, but it is empty. The sky curdles and tears. The sickly yellow turns the ruddy red of anger, of a glass of wine too many, of the colour of raw flesh on the spit. The red roils from the sky. From the mass of dripping scarlet, she emerges like a moth from a cocoon. Increet the Queen, she has summoned you. The Queen beckons you forward, up the carpet, to sit at the table beside her. Drink your tea, she indicates. How pleasant it is to spend this time with her, to spend a moment in light conversation. The Queen smiles, her red smile. She does not say anything. She does not need to. You hear her words all the same. I have a gift for you. You came to my tournament without invitation and made a merry sport. No one not of my own choosing has reached the final bout before. Such boldness deserves a fitting reward. There is a box beneath the table. Open it. Ooh, we can accept the Queen's gift. What does she have for you? Beneath the table is a wooden chest that smells of 4th City spice. The wood is knotted and ancient. Opening the chest, you find a translucent urn containing the sloshing effluvia of something precious. It failed to germinate. You will find better use for it. My collection no longer requires its ornamentation. One day, it shall be otherwise, but there are more delectable pieces to acquire for now. We are curious about our new subject. We would not have chosen him. His temperament is not ours. His notions are naive, unbecoming of us. But he is clever. We shall have to see how many spaces a fox can leap. Her voice is your pulse. There is no castle, there is only the red sky and her words. Tell us about the king. Tell us, did he keep to his silly code? Did he keep to the rules? So we can tell her that the king kept to his rules. Perhaps you feel that he did. Perhaps you would lie to spare him her wrath. Or we can tell her that he cheated. In his attempts to thwart the Queen, he only stuck to the letters of his rules, not the spirit. That's close enough to breaking them, really. I am very much one for technicalities. I'm going to say that he kept to his rules. The sky shakes with her anger. The orange light of Parabola filters through the cracks in the Queen's constructed firmament. I will put out his stars. The Queen's voice is thickened with thunder. We call him a liar and denounce him a traitor. Again, how can he have competed in our tournament without cheating? He must have cheated to do so. The rest is lost on a pulsing, pounding miasma of storm and blood that seems to swell without end. And then you are seated at tea with the Queen once more. She smiles and pours again. She rests a fond hand over your own. Well, my nightmares are now at 7, so that was obviously absolutely terrifying, and apparently he was supposed to cheat. Well. The Queen places down her cup in the dimming firelight. Her eyes gleam like rubies. It is time for you to go. She has no further need of you. You will send the fox and the wolf after. London awaits on the far side of the dream. In the highest room of the Queen's castle, there is a full-length mirror made of polished ruby. Queen leads you to it with a bright smile. Before her expression curdles. You disappointed me. It gives you a hard shove, and you feel the glass shatter as you are pushed through the mirror. What a way to end that! You disappointed me. You emerge in a sickly yellow mire deep in Parabola. It is the marsh of regents where the ruined reflections of old unhappy queens scream across the wastes. It is a long time before you find your way to a mirror that can return you to London, marked by the wounds of many sceptres. Oh look, the lady in lilac, that's new, but I'm afraid we're going to go for the epilogue. And I'm kind of surprised I haven't somehow ended up in the asylum. Let's count our blessings on this one. A farewell to lances. The tournament is over. The red-handed queen has her champion. Reynard and Thomas must have returned to London to pick up the pieces of their lives as you are to resume yours. It is several weeks before you hear from either of them, but eventually you receive an invitation to return to Reynard's cramped rooms on Hollow Street. It seems best to see how things stand after Reynard receives the red-handed queen's boon. You arrive to find Reynard reading on the couch, his head in Thomas's lap. Thomas strokes his lover's red hair tenderly, but his expression is somber. The image of the red fox is visible through the thin cotton of Reynard's shirt, branded on his chest. So what will he do now? Reynard smiles lazily from the lap of his lover. Well, my dreams are unchanged. I've not been called to service in Parabola yet, so I intend to enjoy a well-earned rest. His expression is contented as a cat's, and my wound hasn't bothered me since returning from the tournament. Of course, Thomas still forbids me from returning to the department. Reynard gives you a wry smile. I can't just be idle, I'll have to find another occupation until my queen calls for me. His hand goes to his chest. Unconsciously, it traces the outline of a fox brandished onto his flesh. Thomas meets your eye. He looks worried. Reynard affects not to notice. We can speak to Thomas. What will he do now? Thomas smiles up at you next to Reynard. There are dark circles beneath his eyes, but his smile is warm. I shall make use of the time Reynard has given us. Thomas takes Reynard's hand with the ferocity one might expect from someone rescuing a drowning swimmer. Don't worry, Thomas says to you. I'm looking out for him day and night. Okay, so we can return home. The tournament is over. It's time to lay down arms. As you leave, you look back up at Reynard's window, your eye caught by the flickering of a candle as it gutters. Perhaps he and Thomas have only an evening left together, perhaps many more, but your part in their story is over. On your way home, you pass Doubter's Hospice, where late-night surgeries proceed into the small hours. A young medical assistant stands on the steps, smoking a surreptitious cigarette, and watches you idly as blood drips from her white, gloved hands. And that is the end of the exceptional story. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Let me know what you think. Your comments are greatly appreciated. I'd love to hear other endings to this story. As always, I enjoyed it very much, and I will be doing more Fallen London when the next exceptional story comes out. So, as always, I'll see you next time.